Hi, my name's Daryl, and I'm really pleased to introduce Chuck Phillips from ALiner, and we're going to talk about a brand new product. So, Chuck, take it away.
Yeah, well, so we're here today to talk about the A-Liner SwitchBack, was our new truck camper offering, basically. So it's kind of a revival of an old idea that we had basically 20 plus years ago.
Ooh.
Uh, yeah, and actually,
Was that before your pop-up even?
no, the A-Liner was always first.
Okay.
The truck camper, the original owners of the company, the Tates, Mark Tate was a very creative guy and would create a lot of different prototypes and different types of units that we would take down to the big national RV show. And that was always the case for those guys. They had a ton of ideas and they were this close on about 10 different segments, including teardrops and everything else
Wow.
back in the early 2000s before anybody was really on that super lightweight train. And anyway, they had a truck camper from about 2003 to about 2006. And I think just over time, there wasn't enough market with the smaller trucks and the cars that we have today that didn't really make sense to keep it
Yeah.
going. So went away back then, and probably for some other different prototype or idea that he was working on. And the big scheme of things, he's actually the one who designed this one and
Wow.
brought
Okay.
it back for us. So
That's great.
he had a prototype and called Brett and Alan over, and they took a look at it a few months ago, and we refined it some, and we're bringing it to market this summer.
Wow. Was it your guys' idea to kind of contact him to see about that, or
He
he just brought it to you guys?
Yeah, he actually just continues to tinker in his garage just like he used to at A-Liner back in the
Wow.
day, and
That's cool.
he just built this as a project basically, and then called us and showed us.
Well, overlanding is getting to be kind of a pretty big deal. I just went to the Overland Expo West over in Flagstaff, Arizona. I'm doing some videos on off-road trailers, and so it's pretty amazing, about those particular trailers, and this, how just how rugged they are. But they're pretty expensive, those suckers. They're pretty good, decent margin on those things.
Yeah, they can be. I've just started to look into the different brands that are out there
Yeah.
in the truck camper segment because we haven't been in it for so long. But yeah, you're right. Mainly price ranges starting where our MSRP has, 10,000 plus, ranging up into the mid 20s even, depending on what you're looking at. So this being an MSRP of like 9,500 bucks keeps us under the 10 grand mark, which is nice
Yeah, really
for
good.
everybody. And then weight wise too, which we'll get into, we're pretty low versus everybody else, unless you're looking at like a rooftop tent.
So let me go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll show that video real quick, and we can go through the website and stuff like that and talk about it. How's that
Sounds
sound?
good. Sounds
Okay.
perfect.
What is the height of that?
So the interior stand-up height is just under, it's about 5'8" or 10 on the inside. So just under 6 feet on the inside. And the closed height, or the open height on the exterior when it's fully up is 85 and a half inches. Closed, it's only 50 inches tall. So just over the top of your cab of your truck by just a few inches when it's closed down. Hey everybody, this is Chuck Phillips. I'm down here at Beckley's RVs. This is the introduction of the A-Liner SwitchBack. We had a truck pod before for sleeping back in about 2005 or 6. We've had quite a few requests for it to come back over the years, so we've rebooted a little truck sleeping pod. It's very basic, but it weighs 375 pounds. Slides right in the bed of your truck. It fits 5.5-foot beds all the way up to 8-foot beds. Sets up and down in 30 seconds, just like every A-Liner does. The closed height on this Ford F-150 is under 7 feet. So you can actually store it in your garage. Great for people who want to go out and do hunting, fishing, get into the backcountry, and going to be a MSRP on this one of 9,500 bucks. The Switchback by A-Liner is perfect for 2 people. It's got a 60-inch wide queen bed, 60 by 72. So perfect for 2 people who want to get off the beaten path and enjoy nature.
But so is this kind of new? So this is all aluminum.
Yeah, so there's no wood in the construction of this at all. It's basically all aluminum framed. laminated, vacuum bonded laminated panels, which are going to have the Asdel for the interior layer, your foam core insulation in the center, and your fiberglass exteriors. So a combination of fiberglass foam, Asdel composite, aluminum. So there's no wood in the construction whatsoever. The two fascia boards on the cabinets on the inside, those are going to be high density plastic called boat board. It's the same interior that we're using basically in the Evolution series on the A-liners. So yeah, no wood throughout. It only weighs 375 pounds. Like I said, when it's closed down on a half-ton truck, it's still under 7 feet, so you can pull in and out of the garage. And it's short enough on a 6 foot bed that you can actually close your tailgate too. So
Oh,
if you're
nice.
on a Tacoma or a smaller truck, you'll have to keep your tailgate down if you got a 5 or 5.5 foot bed. But if you got a 6 foot bed or more, you can actually close your tailgate too, which some people have been requesting to have something where you can close the tailgate and get it in the garage. So we're one of the only ones that do that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So it's still using it's not all aluminum, so it's still using the Asdel panels for the exterior and the interior.
Yeah, pretty very similar construction to the way we do the A-liner walls and even the A-scape walls for that matter.
Okay. The the weight, 375, did you look at other kind of truck campers out there?
I
Um,
did.
because they're you've got like the truck campers that have kind of like the bed that goes over the cab of the truck.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that don't do that, but they kind of pop up.
Yes.
Did you look at your kind of competition and see kind of what they were offering?
Yep. Yeah, there's a few other brands out there that are doing something somewhat similar, but not going to be hard sided in this weight range. So at us at 375 pounds and a hard side, that's by far and away the lightest. Anything else out there, there are some that range from about 525 pounds up to about 700 or 800 pounds, but all
Huh.
of those are either going to be a telescoping roof panel that has a tent section in it, or more of a metal construction lower body with a metal or with a rooftop tent on top. So
Okay.
anything, we're by far the lightest in the category of actually hard sided. And then the regular hard side truck campers generally bump up to more like 1,150, 1,200 pounds to start and work their way all the way up to, 2,500 or 3,000 pounds if you go crazy on the larger ones. But that's not the stuff we'll really be competing with. More of the soaring eagles and the skinny guys and the travel lights of the world are kind of who stay in that under 1,500 pounds or under 1,000 pound range, but we'll be the only ones under 500 pounds, and we'll be the only ones fully hard side too, under 5 or 600 pounds.
Hmm. The other ones that you compete with, do they fit in the garage as well?
Yeah, there's a couple on that skinny guy. The way that sets up, very similar look when it's closed. So about almost the same profile as your truck cab itself. That would be able to be garageable, but that's probably about the only one.
Okay.
I don't know if that Soaring Eagle would go in the garage or not. I just started looking into these guys here recently because
Yeah.
new segment for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the idea of those lockable drawers down underneath, so that's really nice.
Yeah, those are super nice. There's two drawers under there that are lockable. They're 5 feet long, so they pull all the way out. They go the whole length of the trailer underneath. They're 8 inches deep and about 12 inches wide almost, and tons of exterior storage there. And then inside, underneath, the way it's set up in the center, it's two bench seats basically with your open floor in the center. There's some slats that go through the middle, and then your cushions can lay into the to make the queen bed. But even underneath those two benches, there's actually some interior storage too underneath on both the left and the right of the door.
So it kind of starts off with bench seats on either side. So that's kind of like kind of how you could set it up, and then you set it up for sleeping
Yeah.
kind of after that.
Yep. So there's two cushions that basically are benches on either side. There's a cushion that goes about 3/4 of the way fills from the front wall of the camper towards the back. And there's one small cushion at the back that you can take out in the morning. Say you're sitting up and going to throw your boots on or whatever. You can take that last little cushion out when you're coming in or out. So you've got somewhere to get shoes on and off and all that kind of stuff. So a little bit of versatility on the back end to make it easier to operate.
And then we've got two windows. So we've got a window in the kind of the front with the front door, and then we've got a window in the back.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. The way this one's set up right now is just purely as a sleeper. So there's no electricity in this yet. We are thinking about and talking about putting together an optional electrical package, basically, where at that point we'd put a converter in it, So you could wire a battery up, put a solar panel on top of the top roof panel so that you can keep your battery charged, and then add some, maybe one wired light, and then some plugs inside for 110 and USBs or USB-C ports for charging phones and that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Um, the how do people when they have something like this, how do they usually carry their propane?
Yeah, so this one's going to be electric only, kind of like our Scout or Scout Light on the A-liner side. So we don't have any plans to put propane in it right now as far as cooktops or water heaters or any of that kind of stuff, because there's no plumbing in there as far as water is concerned. So there wouldn't be any outside shower, so no need for a water heater. But yeah, the way we'll probably end up having it is just a bare bones version, and then we'll have a version with the electrical package. And then if the electrical's in there, if somebody again like wants to bring a little plug-in heater or a little hot plate or something to heat up food or water, they could do that too. Kind of like the Scouts, where you can make it your own once you get off the ground and get out of your tent and get into the switchback.
I guess I'm asking a pretty stupid question, but the you know what, like people bring propane when they go camping and stuff like that. Maybe they usually put it in the back of their truck or something like that. I guess they could put a small propane bottle or something like that just inside the camper, so that's no big deal.
They could, yeah. I mean, even if you're bringing a little Coleman stove or something, and you got the small green tanks, those would fit anywhere inside, easily underneath those benches, and you could put, all kinds of them in those center drawers. The way this one's designed, the lower body, it was really designed for, Tacomas and Ranger trucks, the smaller quarter ton trucks, we'll call them, versus the half tons. So in a half ton truck, you've still got storage space between the wheel wells and between your bed rails on the left and right, if you like the picture we're showing now.
Yep.
Uh, so either you'll have even additional exterior storage below the bump outs on the sides.
Okay. The step, that just came with that Ford F-150.
Yeah, yeah, yep. That one, that actually is my truck. That was I took this down. I took this down to the Beckley's RVs in Maryland for their open house in the beginning of June, and I said, "Well, I'll take the truck camper and get some feedback from those guys." And um, yeah. So, what was your question? I got it totally spaced out.
Oh no, I was just asking about the steps there.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the tailgate for me has the step and the handle, which is super convenient, and a lot of the half ton trucks do have that. Like I said, with the smaller vehicles out there, you're gonna have to leave the tailgate on like a Tacoma or well, a 5 or 5.5 foot bed, basically. So, little bit of figuring to do on something that doesn't have the step built in, but if you've already got the step and the handle, it's super easy. Just walk right up and you're in.
I guess I'm still kind of truck ignorant, but do typically those half ton or not the half ton, but the I guess quarter ton or
Yeah.
smaller pickup trucks. They usually a lot of times if they've got a big load, they can drive anywhere with the tailgate down without any problems.
Yeah, yeah. The way this thing goes into the bed of the truck too, most of the trucks now have hooks built into the bed somewhere, or ones that you can adjust or add on after the fact. The way this works right now, we're just using the hooks that are in the beds, and then a set of ratchet straps basically to tie it from the front to the back and from the back to the forward. I drove this thing, I don't know, probably 500 miles, and it didn't move at all,
Okay.
going through the windy roads of Pennsylvania and Maryland. So, pretty stable once it's in there. And as far as the payload, keeping the tailgate down, that shouldn't be any issue.
I guess see this kind of as a middle ground between like a kind of a roof, I guess not really a rooftop top tent, but something, that goes into a truck that's more of a tent, that's designed to go into the truck bed and
Yeah.
a full-blown kind of truck camper.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of like a hybrid between, an A-liner that you would tow behind your vehicle full time and something like these teardrops and different vehicles that have the rooftop tents on them now. And it's also kind of, the way this thing sits into the bed of the truck, the fact that it's not extremely heavy, and the fact that it is garageable still while it's on the truck, it's almost comparable. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that got a cap, just a truck cap on the back of their
Oh
truck.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
throw a mattress in the back and camp right out of the back of their vehicle. So this just gives you a little more stand-up ability, gives
Yeah.
you a seating area during the day if you get a rainy day. But it almost could be treated like a truck cap, and you wouldn't even really have to take it on and off if you didn't want to.
Yeah. And it's pretty light. I mean, I guess if you wanted to take it off, you could, you just need a couple of people or so to take it off.
Yeah, so this design is slightly different than the one we had in the early 2000s. That one was wider, and I don't think that one actually fit the smaller trucks. That
Okay.
was more like a half-ton build. So this one, because it's on a half-ton truck, the overhang of the upper body there doesn't allow for the jacks that we ordered. We had a set that we brought in that I think will probably work if you're doing these in a quarter-ton truck, let's say. In the half-ton truck, because they're wider, we didn't have good luck getting them attached to this where it would work on a vehicle that size. But right now, it was me and three other guys who lifted it in or out, and it really wasn't difficult. We're either going to find some jacks that work across the board, or we may have to find a handle system that basically they just swing out and you actually have something to grab onto a little bit easier. Still going to need a couple buddies or somebody to help you get it in and out of there. But right now at under 400 pounds, if you can grab a couple people and get it in and out, no problem. And like I said, shortly here, I think we'll have these jacks figured out so that we can overcome that objection easily.
So that would be those jacks would be available through you guys for these. So,
Yeah, yeah. Once we get it figured out how we're going to mount them, they'll just be standard equipment.
oh, okay. Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, that's nice. Um, so how are you guys planning on rolling this out to the dealers and stuff? Is that going to be the same dealers or how is that all going to work out?
Yeah, so we're going to give, the existing dealer base first shot at it and see if they're interested in handling it. Not all dealers handle truck campers because it's different than most of the stuff that's on their lot. When you don't have wheels under something, it's not as easy to rearrange your inventory on the ground. So, truck camper dealers are a little bit more spread out, especially in the east than they are probably in the west. But we're going to give the A-liner dealers the first shot at it, and then see if any other dealers in those markets are interested if the A-liner dealers aren't. And then, like I said, I might even end up going to truck cap and accessory places because they've already got clientele who are coming in to add things into the bed or on top of the bed of their truck. And I know some of those people are camping in those in the bed of the truck. So maybe even going to truck cap dealers themselves.
So I'm wondering a little bit about because I know the A-frame shape is kind of like your guys' signature.
Yeah.
I'm wondering a little bit about that particular design. I mean, because it's great for, a camper, I think, but for this, I think it kind of limits your space. Did you guys consider more of a square shape well, I guess you got presented with the idea. I guess Mark presented that ideal to you guys. So
Yeah.
it's
We
like, no,
kind of
no,
yeah.
we don't like that. Can you make it square?
Yeah, well, right. This one kind of fell into our lap, but we've talked about it over the years, even doing a full towable camper like an A-liner, but would be more of a rectangular shape where you
Oh,
had, like you said, like kind of like struts where you kind of
yeah.
lift up the roof one side at a time
Yep.
and make it more of a rectangle, like a traditional travel trailer. That takes a little bit more engineering. We're not there quite yet.
Okay.
So this one, like I said, kind of fell into our lap with Mark just designing it for us. But um, we've had that idea. I think we need a higher level engineer to make that happen in the near future.
Okay. Are you guys are you guys is it are you guys thinking about are you guys thinking about going to some of the kind of the overlanding shows to show this off?
We've discussed that in the past. We have not gotten involved yet, but we really should. Everything from the overlanding rallies to Jeep rallies, because I mean, Jeep Wranglers, people are diehard about their Jeeps, and
Yeah.
with even the four doors only towing, 3,500 pounds or less, our products fit hand in hand with those
Yeah.
markets for sure. So we have not really gotten into the overlanding, but I think combination of some of the A-liner models we've done recently, plus this truck camper, we probably will be getting involved in that sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm a member of because I've got actually another channel out there that kind of focuses on Jeep stuff. And
Yeah.
'cause I've got a Jeep Wrangler and I'm on a Jeep RVers. There's a couple there's a Jeep RVers group and there's a Wrangler RVing or something like that. There's a couple of them. And
Yeah.
a lot of times I'm in there, because folks are trying to pull, they're they get a trailer. It's 3,500 pounds dry, and they're like, "Yeah, I can pull it. I got third my
Yeah. Very carefully.
yeah." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." So, it's a lot, a lot of times I talk a bit about A-liner, and this is kind of the perfect weight, for it. So, and
Yeah.
I pull the A-liner all the time with my Wrangler and it does really good. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. No, they tow so smooth and go down the road just exactly how you want them to. And they are really the best option for the smaller, lighter tow vehicles on the market. That's a fact.
yeah. I asked you about this before, but are you guys thinking about the overlanding market, the off-road kind of market at all?
Yeah, with the Evolution product, that's the most aggressive off-road package we have currently.
Yeah.
And that seems to meet most of the customers' needs. A lot of that overlanding, like truly overlanding stuff, depending on what the customer's application is, that's where you get into something that's built more out of a heavier steel type construction or some sort of metal construction, because those people, I think, are trying to go even farther into the unknown areas than even the average A-liner camper are. So,
It's either all aluminum or fiberglass. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So right now, I don't know that we'll get any more aggressive than like the Evolution 12 or the Evolution 15. And then the problem with the Escape travel trailer is the way we have the rear entry door, um, and the frame underneath of it isn't uh, really set up to accept a bunch of steps. That's why we keep the Escapes pretty low,
Mhm.
is mainly just for the entry door on the way in and out. We did have a minor off-road package at one time that would take you to a bigger tire size and jack the units up on a lift kit just a couple inches. But at that point, you just bring a little modular step. But to go any higher than that, we would have to do a total frame change and design basically to accept some sort of like at least single or double entry step to do that. So right now, we're the Ascape. The problem is most people want us to go lower.
Yeah.
It's 8'4" with the air conditioner on top, and people want to, get it into a 8 foot garage door, which we're
Um,
4 inches too tall with the AC on. If you swap the AC out for a fantastic fan, you can actually slide in and out under an 8 foot garage door. But most of the time on the Escapes, people are actually wanting it to be shorter.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. All right. I thought the kind of the standard was more of a 7-foot garage door, but there's a lot of eight footers out there.
7 is the standard. Yeah, there are 8s out there, but and then again, it's tough to get really any travel trailer in and out of the garage unless they're telescoping in some way, like the high-low used to be, or a Trailman or something along those lines. Really are your only options to get most travel trailers in and out of a garage.
Cover everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Just the main features on it again are the weight, the fact that it sets up and down in 30 seconds like every A-liner does. Um, I had it set up in a pretty good rainstorm at Beckley's that weekend, and I drove through a bunch of rain getting to and from and stayed dry the whole time. And the only thing we're looking to do now is look at that optional electrical package because we found a window that would go at the front of the trailer where half of it is window and the other half of it is actually a ventilation fan.
Hmm.
So we needed some electric to do that. So if we had a solar panel wired into the battery converter, have the fan in the window, have a light in there and some plugs, that optional package we're probably gonna be putting together here between now and the real introduction. Like we said, we kind of rushed this just because the summer season is here right now. The construction and everything is completely uh, solid, but the initial thinking was just to have it be a sleeper and then let people add onto it as they need. But especially if you are going to be, off the beaten path in the backcountry somewhere, you do need some electricity, basically. So we got initial feedback from the dealers on that, and that's what we're going to work on. But yeah, in general, once that comes together, we'll be really introducing this at the Hershey show in September in Pennsylvania. And then again, the dealer open house later in September in Elkhart, Indiana, to the dealer body. So
Those
we're getting it out.
kind of starts hitting in 2026.
Say that again.
It kind of starts hitting in 2026.
Yeah, yep. And these will be 26s. We're taking orders on them now. They will be 2026 models. And the first place the general public will really get to see them will be the Hershey show. So coming up here in just a couple months.
Okay, so what are there any other surprises coming that you can share with us? Give us a
Well,
little
not
hint.
that I know of, but I didn't know about this one either. So all of a sudden one day I got an email with some pictures and said we're looking at building a truck camper, and I said, okay, let's do it.
Here we go.
Yeah. Even at a small company, sometimes there's surprises you just don't know about. But no, as of right now, with the introduction last year of the A-Liner Classic Twin Bed and the Evolution LG, which we've done videos on. Those were the newest A-Liner floor plans, and I don't see anything coming for that this year. The truck camper is going to be new. And then we are building some A-scapes here in August. They're going to be slightly revamped from the standpoint that they're going to have new exterior graphics and fiberglass. On the inside of those, they're going to have the Evolution interior. So instead of having the wood cabinets,
Okay.
it's going to be all the high density plastic cabinets, which is, aluminum structure riveted together and upgraded flooring and cushions and all that kind of stuff. So A-Scape's getting a little bit of a facelift and the truck camper's hitting the market. And those are the plans for between now and fall.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I think I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you one more thing. Oh, yeah, the classic twin bed. How's that done? Because we haven't talked in
Actually,
a while.
yeah, really good actually.
Oh,
We had a lot of people requesting the twin bed layout and something that wasn't the biggest size like it is in the Evolution. So having a smaller, lighter price point too in that Classic is really working out. So
that's great.
basically comparable price to a Classic versus an Evolution, being a 12-foot box living space versus a 15-foot keeps you down around 2,000 pounds instead of being up closer to 2,400 pounds. So keeps you in that Subaru towable type category.
Yep.
And yeah, we've sold quite a few of them. All the dealers that have stocked them have turned at least a couple by this time. So
Okay. Well, that's good news.
yeah, it's been working out.
Okay. Well, Chuck, it was great talking to you again.
Yeah, Daryl, you too, man. I always appreciate doing this and all the exposure you get us. So thank you.
Hey, no problem. I love talking about A-liners.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll talk
We'll
to
do
you.
it again.
Okay. Bye.
All right, man.